Golden Towers are the most expensive and some of the most powerful towers in Tower Defense Simulator. With 6 of them, some are bound to be more useful than the others. In this video, I'll be ranking all 6 towers based on things like versatility, stats, practicality, and more. But before we get into the video, I would really appreciate it if you like and subscribe, as it helps me out a ton and you can always change your mind later. In 6th place is the Golden Scout. Now don't get me wrong, the Golden Scout is a great tower having great value and early game potential, but it's just outclassed by so many other towers like the Brawler or even the Shotgunner. At level 0, it has a DPS of 2.98 and a value of $100.8 per DPS, and 51.95 DPS at max level, with a value of $133.74 per DPS. Don't worry, I'm not going to, do what I normally do in my videos, just list off every single stat boringly. I'm not going to do that, don't worry. It's a good tower, but it doesn't have anything that makes it the best option in any circumstance, so I'm giving it a high B tier. In 5th place is the Golden Soldier. This tower is basically just a better version of the Golden Scout. It has slightly more DPS in the early levels and much better DPS in the later levels. It has 14% more DPS than the Golden Scout at level 0 and 78% more at max level, being 92.59. Despite having about a $35 per DPS ratio worse than the Golden Scout at every level, the DPS increase makes it more than worth it. So if the tower is so good, then why in 5th place? Well, just like the Golden Scout, it's outclassed. Once again by other towers like the Brawler and the Shotgunner, so overall, I give it a low A tier. In 4th place is the Golden Crook Boss. The Golden Crook Boss is definitely a good tower, but now seems to have kind of fallen off. This is mainly due to the game modes getting more difficult, but the tower not having been rebalanced in months. The DPS and value of this tower is a bit difficult to calculate since it spawns units, but if we assume at level 0 there are at least 1 Pistol Crook at all times, and at max level there are at least 2 Pistol Crooks and 1 upgraded Tommy Crook, level 0 has a DPS of 9.34 with a value of $85.65 per DPS, and max level has a DPS of 306.16 and a value of $126.73 per DPS. That value in DPS seems incredible, so why is it so bad? Well, it's not bad, it's actually pretty good for most game modes, but it's just unreliable from the fact that most of its DPS at every level comes from units, which get easily destroyed by enemies that can stun. So, yeah, it's a good tower, but it's too unreliable. I give it a mid-A tier. In 3rd place, we have the Golden Pyromancer. The Golden Pyromancer is mainly a crowd control tower since it has pretty bad DPS, but the sheer damage it does against crowds does make up for this easily. At level 0, it costs $800 to place and deals 4.88 single target DPS, or 19.52 DPS if it hits the max amount of enemies it can at level 0, being 4. If it does hit 4 enemies, it has a value of $40.98 per DPS, which is ridiculous. And if at max level it costs $18,900, it deals 47.01 single target DPS, and if it hits the max enemies it can of 10, being at max level, it can deal up to 470.1 DPS with a value of $40.2 per DPS. In case you didn't know, that is absolutely crazy value, and it can also melt 50% defense at level 3 or higher. Now, the main reason it's at number 3 and not higher is because it becomes less useful the more you place one, since the burn effect can't stack, and it also has pretty bad range. So overall though, I'd give it a very high A tier. It's still a really good tower. The runner-up, in my opinion, is the Golden Cowboy. The Golden Cowboy is a phenomenal tower. It has good range, decent DPS, good income, and all game damage plus income potential. Level 0 costs $600 to place, which means you can place it on wave 1, and deals 3.67 DPS and makes $35 every 6 shots. For scale, if a Golden Cowboy were to kill a Fallen on Fallen mode, it would make an extra $420 on top of its 300 HP. That is a 140% increase in money. At max level, it costs $17,350, has 75.04 DPS, it makes $225 every 12 shots. If a max Golden Cowboy killed the Fallen Giant, it would make an extra $2,250, or a 75% increase in money. So, yeah, at basically every level, the Golden Cowboy will generate a ton of extra money. It also has a good placement limit of 10, making it pretty spammable and good for DPS. All of these things make it an incredible tower, so I think it deserves a low S tier. Finally, in 1st place is the Golden Minigunner. The Golden Minigunner doesn't particularly stand out in value or unique niches or early game, but it is an absolute powerhouse of DPS. It costs $3,000 to place, making it far too expensive to be used in the early game, but still has a DPS of 23.44 and a value of 127.99 per DPS, which is pretty good. Max level is where this tower is really at, though. At max level, it costs a total of $44,400 and has a decent value of 171.26 and a phenomenal DPS of 259.26. Now, I know you're thinking, that's less than the Golden Crook boss in Pyromancer. That may be true under specific circumstances, but not only do those two towers only deal that much DPS under those circumstances, the Golden Mini Gunner also has a placement limit of 12, and it doesn't get less effective if you place multiple of them, like the Golden Pyromancer does. 12 max Golden Mini Gunners will deal a combined 3,111.12 DPS, which is ridiculous. It can also get fully buffed by supports. Under the 20% damage buff for the DJ and the 50% fire rate buff for the commander, its combined DPS is boosted to a whopping 5,288.91. That will absolutely obliterate anything in its path, especially if you have multiple people with this tower equipped. An easy high S tier ranking, in my opinion. Alright, now thank you so much for making it this far into the video. If you enjoyed, then please consider liking and subscribing, as it only takes a few seconds and it helps me a ton. And now, with all that being said, have an amazing rest of your day or night, and I'll see you in my next video. See ya.